So we have to understand exactly what are the high value adding activities and the high value adding reports. So I believe again, delegate, automate, eliminate, and allocate.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day to everybody listening to Collective Conversations. Where this is a podcast where we talk with accounting, finance, FP&A leaders from all across the world. We look at people, process, platform, technology. We talk about a lot of different things, and I'm really excited for this conversation today. We're joined by Mohammed El Robi, who's the head of FP&A for Takeda. Is that right?
Takeda Pharmaceuticals.
Takeda Pharmaceuticals. Sorry, that rolled off my tongue wrong. Takeda Pharmaceuticals, head of FP&A there. Mohammed, welcome to Collective Conversations.
Thank you, Chris, for the invitation. It would be a great pleasure having information with you today.
Yeah. I remember talking, and I remember last time we were on stage, and this is the good times. This is when times were good, when we were over in London. And we're having a great dialogue. And I think it was like this time last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, 1 year ago, we met in UK in the SEMA conference.
I don't know about you, man, but I miss those times being able to travel and everything being virtualized right now. It's still a great experience, but I'm really excited to have our listeners talk to you today and learn from you. No doubt about it, man. You're a tremendous FP&A leader, and you've done some amazing things in your role. So let's jump right into it. The first question I want to ask you is, when you think about FP&A, right, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
I believe FP&A is the heart of the organization. So when you said FP&A, I believe a function sit in the heart of the organization, connecting all the dots and leading the whole process inside the organization.
Yeah, so it's the heart, man. It's the, it's the, you can't live without your heart, right? Like, I mean, that's the, so when you talk about your heart, right, that's a pretty valuable organ, right? I mean, that's probably the most important thing we all have, right?
Yeah.
So if it's the heart of the organization, what is it that FP&A brings that's so valuable to organizations?
Yeah, I believe FP&A doing multiple roles inside the organization. Number one, FP&A is the only function that connecting the dots. So each function is working in a silos or whatever. So the only function that has access to all data, the only function that can connecting all the dots is the FP&A. So I believe FP&A is the value creator, value protector, and value communicator as well for storytelling. So I believe FP&A is leading the whole value chain for the organization.
Nice. I love that. The value piece of it. Like that's the value of we're value protectors, we're value creators, and we're value preservers. I love that aspect of it. So when you think about FP&A from like a people aspect, right? I know and talking with some different thought leaders that we've had on the show and we've talked with, everybody has a different perspective of what that high performance partnership, what that model a player from an FP&A perspective, from a people perspective, what do you think are like the top 5 skill sets that really separate top tier FP&A talent?
Yeah, I believe for FP&A, we can talk about mindset and the skill set. So from mindset, definitely the top FP&A should have the right mindset by number one, moving from emails to face-to-face, moving from system-oriented to building relationships, speaking the language with the business, also thinking as a coach, not as a policeman or a controller inside organization. So the mindset of being a coach, asking the right questions to the organization, moving from challenging people to selling the ideas, convincing people. So there are many types of changing the mindset from for the FP&A. From skill set, definitely, I believe business acumen, curiosity to understand what is behind number, curiosity to build the relationships. Also from a skill set is how to turn the data into insights. This is very important skill for FP&As. How to tell the right story, so how to turn numbers into life and tell the proper business stories. Also negotiation skills, selling skills is must to have also for FP&As.
Gotcha, man. You're listening out some for the skill set perspective. You're gonna make some of our listeners a little comfortable, uncomfortable, Muhammad. You're talking about getting out there, talking to people, communicating data. Like those are, and I love that question because it get people thinking outside of knowing like everything you just mentioned from a mindset and skill sets perspective. You did not mention they have to be like the best IFRS or best US GAAP person to know like accounting, right? Like, granted, I don't discount that from a skill set perspective. You have to have that understanding of accounting knowledge, but everything that you talked about around business partnership, communication, like, meeting people where they are, and like those things are so vital. And for our listeners, it's such a different challenge because I know when I started my career in accounting, right? Like I came in, I did the public accounting. I'll show, my Ernst & Young badge of honor right here. But from that perspective, it was, for me, it was always a challenge because people didn't understand that. And when you're in an accounting role, you have to have that knowledge. But typically accounting is the starting point of where FP&A goes, right? Like that's where we pick up. That's where we kind of pick it up, and then we take it from that point forward. So I really appreciate that you shared like the mindset and skill set perspective. So that's really, really, really cool. When you think about also from a people perspective and skills, right? What do you think is the most undervalued aspect of FP&A?
Yeah, I believe FP&As are working very hard because they have to meet all the deadlines, for budgeting, forecasting, all of that stuff. And there is a lack, of personal branding for FP&As. So people still undervaluing FP&As as a number crunchers or system oriented. So FP&As should work very hard on creating values to the business and rebranding the FP&A inside the organization. So we have to change the mindset for ourselves and also change the mindset for our business partners.
Definitely, definitely. So when you talk about changing that mindset too, right? Like, I think that's so difficult for people because a lot of times the mindset of what the value proposition is for FP&A is, people think of FP&A as like the accounting people, right? And it's hard to change that perception and that value that you create, right? Because most of the time, leaders in different roles, they just always looked at accounting, finance, FP&A as like, these are the people that give me the numbers, right? Like if I know I need to get the numbers, I go to accounting, finance, and FP&A. How have you in your career as head of FP&A changed that value proposition? Like, how do you go about changing that message, changing the value that you bring to not just be a scorekeeper, but to be a valued advisor? How in your career have you made that change?
Yeah, actually, I got the chance to transform the whole finance functions when I joined a global FNG organization a few years ago. The function was a typical controlling function. So it was perfect in preparing financial statements, getting green audit reports every year, all reconciliation was done properly. But there was no proper, decision supporting came from FP&A. There was working in a silos. There was a weak relationships between FP&As and the other functions. Even the management was confused about many reports came from different functions.
Right.
So I found that people did not get the proper value from the FP&A function. So I decided to make a huge transformation journey to transform the finance to be a true business partner. So I started number one with by building relationships. So we cannot start the FP&A as a true business partner without building the relationships.
For
so
sure.
I conducted one-to-one with all the stakeholders, starting from the GM until every single person inside the organization, salespeople, marketing, IT. So I listened carefully to every one of them to understand what is expected from finance, what are their key objectives, what is their big business challenges. So after conducting the one-to-one meeting with everyone, I understood exactly what should be needed to be improved in the finance functions. Then the next step before getting overwhelmed and getting busy with the business operations and finance operations, I had to understand the business very well. And also I encouraged my team to understand the business. So I encouraged them to conduct frequent field visits, meet key accounts, meet our wholesalers, retailers. So they have to conduct frequent field visits We had to attend all possible meetings to understand what is behind numbers, to understand the other people's, world for HR, IT, supply chain, all the other functions. Then after understanding the business very well and understanding the needs from our business, it was the right time to implement the proper technology or the right decision supporting tools. And I saw, Chris, many mistakes by the finance people who are implementing management reporting tool or BI tool without understanding the needs from our business, without understanding even the business model, without understanding the needs. So I believe that should be the third step after understanding the needs and understanding the business. Then we started to provide the proper insights to our business because we have all the right tools, right? We have people understanding business, we understand what our people needs, and we have the right technology. So it was the right time to provide insights to our business. And over time, we started to build credibility. And can you imagine, Chris, we was leading the sales and the marketing meeting. Can you imagine finance moved from just working in a silos to leading the sales and marketing meeting? We provide to them all the visuals, all the dashboards, and we start to ask them the right questions. So we was leading the meeting. So it was a huge transformation journey at that time.
Oh man, that's absolutely amazing. I love your like 4-step process, right? I mean, the first one is the foundation of any high performance FP&A team. You have to build the partnerships. Like, and and I love that you took the approach of not building the partnerships based around the numbers. Like that leads into your next point about building the partnerships to really understand the person's business, right? I think too many times when accounting, finance, FP&A people go about establishing that relationship, start building that partnership, they go straight to the numbers, right? They go, you had a budget of 50 widgets and you did, 25 widgets. And we're looked at as like the number people, right? Versus trying to take that time to really understand the pain points, the challenges, the opportunities, the wins, the successes, and just taking that moment to understand the business that you're working with, right? Like understand literally the leader, understanding their operations, what keeps them up at night. And I think finally the icing on the cake is, and for me, those two things take a lot of time, right? Like it's not like you go have one meeting with a functional leader and like, well, yay, we're business partnership. You've got to continue, you've got to be proactive in how you're building those relationships. And then finally you get those two building blocks done. Boom, now you're ready for technology, right? Now you're ready. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. Too many accounting, finance, FP&A leaders, they think the technology is like the first place to go. And they're like, let's get the technology because this is going to increase our business partnership and help us understand. When it's like, you can't do that. It's like you're trying to run a 40 meters on the track and you don't even know how to crawl yet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I love how you really distill that down. And it seems like that was really, really impactful for your stakeholders, right? One thing I want to talk about, and the last piece that you mentioned was building the insights, right? Like obviously the major point of what we're going to do, relationships, understanding the business, leveraging the technology to ultimately make decisions. That's what we're here to do, right? We're here to help influence those decisions. So shifting gears to talk a little bit about processes, right? I think processes is always a slippery slope for accounting finance teams, right? Because a lot of them is manual, a lot of it is in Excel, a lot of it's just the rigmarole of going through. If you were to go through and like help those listeners on like, what are the key processes for people to really focus on to get the maximum efficiency out of their FP&A teams?
Yeah, I believe finance efficiency is a must to have to provide agile decision support to our business partners. And I believe in I name it 4 A's. So eliminate, automate, delegate, and allocate. So we have to eliminate. Yeah, so I like it very much. Eliminate all the unnecessary processes, eliminate all the unnecessary reports, eliminate the less value-adding activities from your team's list. So this is number one process. Automate, definitely, we have to automate as much as we can all manual works to work more efficient. And delegate, we can delegate our non-value-adding task to third party or whatever. And last one is allocate. We have to reallocate our team's time to the high value-adding activities. I saw many FP&As are working, they have a long list every day. We have to provide this long list of reports to our regional office, to our stakeholders. But can you imagine that sometimes most of reports, even the people did not read it. Sometimes they only read the cover letter. Sometimes they read the executive summary. So we have to understand exactly what are the high value adding activities and the high value adding reports. So I believe, again, delegate, automate, eliminate, and allocate. This is the summary.
I love it, man. And I think from a process, procedure, and financial efficiency, that's definitely a super fire moment right there, guys. Elevate, automate, delegate, allocate. I feel like that should be like a song, you know.
Yeah.
Eliminate, delegate, automate, allocate. It should just be like a nice little jingle for all you people out there listening about how to get efficient financial processes. Because I think and this is where like the struggle happens sometimes, because it's always a balance, right? You want to be as efficient as possible, but you have, you're wearing like 80 different hats, right? I don't know about you, but I'm the finance person, the collection person, legal. I mean, you name it, I'm doing it. So it's all about how do you maximize, like, and take that 4-step based approach that you said on the highest value activities. I love when you said that, because too many times people focus on what is the high value activity. So I want to go a little bit deeper, right? You take that 4-step process, you eliminate, you automate, you delegate, you allocate, and now you get to these high value activities. In your opinion, what are those high value activities that you want FP&A people to be focused on?
Yeah, actually, the high value adding activities, we can get it. Number one, we have to analyze the value chain through two paths. The first path is the finance function itself. So we have to analyze the value chain for the finance part itself. So we can find high value adding activities, for example, by reviewing the accounts receivable or anything that can add high value adding, like a cash flow optimization to our shareholders. And I can name it this a direct value to our shareholders. The second one is the value chain for the whole entire organization. So we have to analyze the value chain for the whole entire organization, and we have to sit with the business people. Guys, what is the key priorities this year? What are the key strategic objectives this year? And based on that discussion, we have to agree with the business people what are the top activities or the high value adding activities, and then we can reallocate our team's time to those high value adding activities.
Definitely. I think Mohammed, you can tell that you've lived and breathed this, man. You can just articulate the steps right along the way, right? Now, given that you've had a lot of experience around this 4-step, and I love that 4-step methodology as well. I never really looked at it that way, so I think that's very insightful. When people are going about to follow this process framework, right, you've had to come along the way some gotcha moments, right? Some moments where it's like, man, I wish I would have remembered that, or I wasn't expecting this, or, those pitfalls that anytime you're running an initiative like this and you're leading it from a head of FP&A perspective, you're going to find those like pitfalls, those skeletons in the closets, and those what could go wrongs, right? Care to share any of those experiences along as you've been making this financial transformation for high value of FP&A? What are those some of those common pitfalls that you kind of come across?
Yeah, actually, from a process perspective, we usually get the buy-in from the management before implementing any new technology or any new process. So we have to get the buy-in from our top management, and then also we have to get the buy-in from our teams itself. Because if they are not, if they feel like a threat from technology, or they might lose their job or whatever because of the technology, so we have to get the buy-in also from our team, and also we have to share the benefits and the value from implementing such a process or such technology. So once we get the buy-in from all the stakeholders, I believe that would make our life easy in implementing the technology. And then, as I mentioned, that we have to understand the business very well before implementing any new technology, because we have to sell to our customers what they need, not what we want to sell as a finance people.
Nice. I love that's another fire moment right there, right? Key phrase. Give people what they need, not what they want, right? I think too many times, because honestly, right? Like, does a salesperson in your organization know what they want? No, they don't know. They remember seeing this fancy Excel file that gave them this number. They don't know if they want that or not. And it's all about meeting them where they are. And I think that's a key phrase that you just mentioned, right? You know, when you build these partnerships, it's all about a halfway, right? We have to go down more, right? We can't be pushing metrics and all these numbers if they don't make sense to people. We have to understand what their needs are, right? And that's a very therapeutic way of going about it, right? It's a very genuine way of going about building a relationship, because you're coming from a perspective of listening, right? You're coming from a perspective of, I'm trying to understand what you need, then I can help give you what you need, versus like, this is what you want, like, here's, it's done, it's period, right? And a lot of times that doesn't have value, right? It's the, it's the report that people get in their email and they file it to another file because they don't even look at it. So really, really, really great insight. So talking about shifting the platform, right? Platform technology. That's one of the third one that you mentioned about partnership, understanding the business and going to technology, right? What role do you think technology plays in what finance FP&A teams of the future are going to be valued at? Like, what their value proposition for FP&A teams in the future, what role does technology play in that?
Yeah, I believe technology is playing a very essential part to help the FP&A to create value. So to free up our team's time, we need first to focus on efficiency. So I believe automation, like for example from RPA or AI, that will help our FP&A team to free up their time, and then they can reallocate their time to spend the quality time with the business people, building relationships, providing insights, understanding business. So technology is a big help, number one, to free up their time. And we run multiple surveys, and I saw also many articles about the big pain that's shared by the FP&A team. And the first big pain that's shared by the FP&A team is we don't have time to build relationships. We don't have time to spend to conduct a frequent field visit or spend the quality time with our people. So technology is a big help to freeing up our team's time. Also, technology is helping definitely in data visualization and the data storytelling. So it's also helping very much in this area. And also having a cloud, for example, that will help all the stakeholders to have access to data at any point of time. As you know, that 20 years ago or whatever, every stakeholders has to wait until finance sending them Excel sheet or PowerPoint with the data, right? Yeah. So now using technology, I have in our company, for example, our GM from mobile can access what is the sales data on daily basis, can access what is the P&L just using cloud and using the technology. So it's a big help, yeah, for sure.
Man, that's awesome. I ironically enough, I see some people still living in the hey, give me the numbers in Excel email. Like, how many accounting and finance people, that was like our badge of honor. It was like, we get the email and it'd take you like 15 minutes to get it, but you're like, that's gonna take me till tomorrow to get you that number. There's some other things I gotta do, right? And like, data, things are moving so fast. I mean, talking about the pandemic, man, things have moved so fast that you don't have a day to wait to react and make a decision. Like, most of the time, I know for me during the pandemic, like I had agile scenario planning, like it was down to the day. Like, every day my assumptions were changing, and there's no way like our business leaders could make decisions or guide the business on waiting a whole day to get information. Like, those cycles are over. And you mentioned a great point, like technology is meant to accelerate those things, right? It's meant to get this information to people as quickly, as efficiently, as accurately as possible, so people are informed, right? I think, when you talk about I want to talk a little bit about the pandemic, right? Like, one of the emerging themes that I've seen is this whole principle of agile-based planning versus static-based, right? That's a trend that I've seen, is like people getting away from doing that 3-month forecast and like really, forecast is down to the monthly basis, if weekly at this point. So when you think about some future trends that are currently going on as we sit in this pandemic, what are those trends that you see carrying over into 2021 and forward?
Yeah, actually, as you said it all, actually, Chris, which is scenario planning and agile decision supporting to our business partners. They cannot wait until we prepare a presentation or prepare a detailed Excel file. So they need someone to be very showing high level of agility to provide support. So I believe, for example, one of the good projects I implemented in my company, which is using RPA in turning data into insights. So we are, as a finance, we had previously we have to spend too much time in getting data from system, analyzing data, compiling data, identifying the key variances, and we have, because we are managing a big region, so we have to send emails to big numbers of stakeholders, asking them what's behind numbers, what are the commercial drivers, blah, blah, blah. So it took long time just to compile data and getting the right business driver. Then we have limited time to have a quality conversation with them, running scenario planning and getting the proper business insights and foresights. So once the company launched the RPA technology, actually we are using right now the robot to, number one, downloading all the reports on behalf of us, identifying the key variances on behalf of us, because we set like a rule, any variance, for example, less than 0.5 million US dollar, ignore it. So any variance above 0.5 million US dollar, please send the email to the right person, asking them about the commercial driver. So robot sending email on behalf of us, getting insights from commercial driver from people on behalf of us. Then I have a ready-made report with all the variances, with the key business drivers, and then I can have time to spend using this report and spend the quality time with my business partners, providing scenario planning, providing insights, foresights. So it was a big change in our turning data into insights process using the RPA technology.
Man, dude, you're already living in like 2023, dude. Like the stuff that you've been able to do and like RPA and automatically like a robot sending various analysis and people responding to a robot, you're just sitting there like, man, that is absolutely tremendous. And I think what's important for listeners to know is like people across the board are doing those sorts of things, right? This isn't like we're coming into this new frontier of automation and leveraging RPA or AI and machine learning, right? Businesses, industries, and teams have already started implementing these tools. Like it's already here. And I think it's important for people to know that there's plenty of use cases around this stuff, right? But you have to make sure you got that financial efficiency. I think the other piece you got to make sure you got is the right people in place, right? Like people are so important in terms of if you want to, have that transformative value proposition that you're moving from scorekeepers to valued advisors, you got to have the people. That's the foundation, right? And I think what I really like hearing from our dialogue and conversation is like, you have laid down, like you've done those things, right? You've already implemented RPA. You've already led a financial transformation, right? You're doing all these things already. So for the listeners, right, that's important to know, like these are things already getting done and along the way. So one thing in closing and wrapping up, I always would like to ask all of our, and I've been sitting here taking notes around this, so I got a wealth of information to take away. When you think about what 2020 and what the future looks like for FP&A, right? Whether it's people, process, or technology, like what do you think are those major bets to place into the future, right? Like if you were to go and say, hey, if there's 2-3 things to really focus on and be really, really good at for this new frontier that we're moving into with the pandemic, with the value proposition, with the financial transformation that we're doing, what will be your key bets as we continue to go forward and come out of this pandemic?
Yeah, actually for FP&A, definitely it's become now a must to have to be a technology savvy. So all FP&A should be a technology savvy. Now it's not an optional now. So we shouldn't be definitely a technical guys who are programmers, but definitely we have to be aware of all the up-to-date technology. So this is number one. From soft skills, definitely we have to focus a lot on storytelling. We have to focus a lot on influencing, problem solving, because now the technology will solving our problems by providing reports, analyzing reports, all of that stuff. So it's all about influencing people, negotiating with people, coaching people, telling the right story. So it's all about soft skills plus technology savvy. I believe those the combination of both will help us to be up to date and up to the speed with the new trend.
Nice. I love it. I love it. You know, technology savvy and soft skills, right? For some of the listeners, that may scare you, right? You may get like, man, I gotta get out there. If okay, so you know, I think those are great things to look forward to, right? I mean, you gotta love technology. You can't be an FP&A of the future if you don't have those data mining skills, those Excel skills, Power BI, you know, fill in the gap on what the solution will be. And definitely on the soft skills. I agree with you 100%, right? But that's challenging a lot of people to say, you don't have to learn how to do a depreciation entry. You have to learn how to build a relationship with a salesperson or a marketing people. And that may scare some people, but I agree with you 100%. Those are the bets. Learn new technologies, make yourself, and not just, I think even taking a step further, not just learning finance, accounting, FP&A technologies. Go learn. You know, that's one thing I love is like I go learn all different kinds of technology, regardless of what space it's in, right? I love learning what industries are pushing technology in whatever areas that are even outside of my functional area that I do. So really appreciate that insights and those continued trends for people to pick up as we continue to resurge out of this and continue to drive our businesses. In closing, if people want to follow you, you know, where can they find you at? If they want to have more information, what's your socials and where people can follow you?
Yeah, actually, LinkedIn, I put all of my resources and articles on over LinkedIn, and that's, I believe, the proper platform to reach out to me.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Mohammed, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being part of Collective Conversations. Like I said, man, I've had a lot of notes. I appreciate the conversation and dialogue. You can tell that you are a top-notch subject matter expert that have lived and breathed through this stuff. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being part of the show, brother.
Thanks so much, Chris. Really, it's a great pleasure and looking forward to meeting you again. Thank you very much.